Combustion.
Whoa, 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 whoa. They're running the game with my team making plays. Talking 80, my G's, 100 jewels in this place. Surrounded by dogs, keep the quarterback safe. I'm the one with the plans, they gon' do what I say. The game is not over, we don't celebrate. In the end zone, we don't got no time in the wait. H-Town run down, we don't premeditate. We just go and get to it, we got them on skates. If the game going to overtime, kicking the overdrive, we gon' be first at the finish line. Play looking full, but I finish mine. Can I get second? We gon' line up like it's dinner time. We put in work till we get us a ring. Super Bowl season, we running the scene. H-Town the home of the realest that breathe. Keep your face down when you talk to the king.
Yo, what up, y'all? This your boy AD from the H-Town Rundown, and we got my co-host in there. We got Clayton in the building. What up, brother? How you doing on this wonderful Monday night?
Doing all right, man. Blessed, man. Cannot complain, sir. How about yourself, man? Good to see you.
Doing good, man. You know, I'm just trying to recover. It's been a hell of a week, man. Shout out, chill out. But yeah, man, it's been a hell of a week. But we here in the Houston Texans. Offseason is finally at a point where it's kind of dead and it's nothing going on. So when nothing's going on, you have everything to talk about. So we'll start, with the news of the day, man. Not the day, but the week last year. I want to say people's biggest complaint is that we have too much O-line and too many tight ends.
Since when? I ain't never heard that.
But yeah, I would say this news of the week. Last week we had the Will Anderson extension. This week we have the Azeez Al-Shaair. 50 mil Will was 50 mil Will last week, and now you got good old Azeez Al-Shaair being locked up for the next 4 years for the Houston Texans. He got a 3-year, $54 million contract, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong. And that number was a little more than what I was expecting, but I knew that they were going to keep Azeez Al-Shaair when everybody else has been plotting on this linebacker core for I don't know how many years to get Azeez and Henry Toa up out of here. We gotta get the Strauss support. We'll talk about it, Pastor. We'll talk about it because that was a little topic that came up on the spaces today that made absolutely no sense at all. But yeah, definitely. I want to hear your thoughts about the Azeez Al-Shaair extension, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, man. So I got Spot Track up in front of me right now, and I'm just looking, bro. I got Fred Warner up, Roquan Smith, Josh Sweat, and I forgot that his new money hasn't kicked in yet because I'm still looking at the 18 mil. Pastor, what's up, man? Long time no see. But yeah, man, I want to say, according to the report, he should be like top 3, no worse than top 5 highest paid linebacker right now. Man, it pays to be a Texan, man. It just does, bro. It pays to be a Texan, bro. You just got to earn it. Like, you just have to be the kind of guy that they want. Of course, swarm, right? All that, swarming all day. But the fact that, once you establish yourself as a key piece to what they want to be, and you fit the vision of the team, the culture, the tapestry, all these things, it pays to be a Texan, man. They will pay you. Like Daniil, Will, Azeez, they want to pay CJ. They want to, they just by principle, they just can't right now, but no, man, I'm excited, man. Because again, he represents everything DeMeco Ryan wants on the defense. He's one of the captains. He one of the most overly hated dudes in the NFL.
Love it.
He's an impact linebacker. He changes the game when he's in there. There's not much really else you can say. He represents exactly what you want on that defense. So it's good they got him paid. Put that to rest, man. So no, he's not going to be a Cowboy. Let's go ahead and stop all that. Go ahead and stop all that.
Yeah. Look, I just pulled it up. He will be, when the contract kicks in at this moment, he'll be the 3rd highest paid linebacker in the NFL, behind Who is that? That is Fred Warner and Roquan Smith. So
Yep.
he'll be right above Zach Bond for the Eagles.
Yep.
And Devin Lloyd for the Packers, which at 17
Mm-hmm.
and 15 respectively. And they got those 3-year 51 and 3-year $45 million contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he'll be the third highest paid linebacker. So well deserved because he Pro Bowler. And
Mm-hmm.
he's been playing. He's very well in D'Amico Ryan's system, and so um,
Mm-hmm.
I expect nothing but him to continue that greatness going forward and be well worth that contract. And now at this point, all three levels of your defense has been paid as far as your stars on all three levels. You have both your ends have been paid. Um, and what up? What up? What up? What up? Grafa. Um,
I was waiting for it. Oh.
but you got both your ends and Will and Daniil being paid, already out front.
Yeah.
You also have your linebacker and Aziz Al being paid, and now you already have Stingley and Petrie in your
And beat you
secondary
paid.
that have been paid. So your
Boy.
your defense right now is locked
Boy.
up pretty much for the next 3 years. Um,
Sorry,
yeah,
bro.
so this number
Boy.
one defense can continue to be number one defense barring injuries. So definitely looking forward to all of that. Next order of business is the polarizing topic that took over Twitter and all of the news outlets and everything like that, and became a polarizing topic is
Mm-hmm.
the CJ Stroud of it all. Um,
Mm-hmm.
will CJ Stroud get paid this offseason? Will Anderson got paid, but will CJ Stroud get paid? Um, you had people like Skip Bayless saying he was appalled that CJ Stroud got paid or will get paid after Will Anderson or vice versa. Will Anderson got paid before CJ. He said if he was CJ Stroud, he would be offended and would want to cause havoc, because he didn't get paid before Will Anderson. Um, so all of
Mm-hmm.
these things, like these topics, and we had a spirited debate on Spaces earlier about it. My sentiment is CJ Stroud is going to get paid regardless. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I put out the 110 tax a long, long time ago. Um, Will held up his end and he got the 50 mil Will. CJ is gonna hold up his end and get that 60 mil. And that 110 tax will be in full effect. But whether it be this offseason or next offseason, I don't think it's going to be a drastic change as far as what the contract might be. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
talking 5 or 10 million, because I had this debate with a few people in the group chats and everything like that about it that didn't want to pay Will 50. And I was like, what's the difference between saying we're gonna pay him 47 and we're gonna pay him 50?
Right.
I mean, it's $3 million that you're gonna wait that we've seen the Texans waste more money on BS players and still be fine under the cap. So
Mm-hmm.
what's to say? What's the difference between 55 million and 60 million for CJ? But based on the years. So if you're saying he'll get 55 this offseason, but he'll get 60
Mm-hmm.
next offseason, it really doesn't make a difference because the contract is the contract and the timeline is the timeline. He's gonna get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And I know
Yeah.
there's some like Pastor that don't want to give out that kind of contract.
Stupid.
Yeah.
They got for the one.
51, 51 and 51, it would have been crazy. But I know that people feel like that, CJ doesn't deserve it, this and that. But the resume is the resume. If the Texans, this is just my opinion, how I feel like the Texans with this defense as is, and
Mm-hmm.
CJ playing mediocre at best, this Texan team will make the playoffs and potentially with this defense win a playoff game. And at the end of this season, the resume for CJ Stroud would be that he's been in the league 4 years. He's
Mm-hmm.
making playoffs every year, and he's won a playoff game every year. That's the resume, Pastor. If it transpires like I expect it to, unless something
Mm-hmm.
catastrophic happens, the defense alone should win you enough games and get you in the playoffs and win a playoff game. But again, wins are a quarterback stat, and people love to use them when it's convenient. So in negotiations, it'll be convenient that C.J. Stroud was the quarterback that led the Texans the first 4 years of his career to the playoffs every
Mhm.
year and to win a first round playoff game every year. That doesn't happen very often, unless you like Patrick Mahomes or whatever.
Mhm.
Echelon. Joe Burrow hasn't went to 4 straight playoffs. You know, again, I'm not disagreeing with that part. I'm just saying
Mhm.
on paper. Like we can go into the nuances and all that stuff about it and how he hasn't held up his weight of the end or held up his end of the bargain, but the resume on paper is the resume on paper.
Mhm.
C.J. Stroud is a starting quarterback for the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have made the playoffs every single year that he's been the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans, and they won the first playoff game, at least one playoff game every year since he's been the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans.
Mhm.
That's on paper. Now, if you want to go into the nuances of this, and that, that's fine. But on paper, that resume, you can't say the same thing about Trevor Lawrence, who got 55 million. You can't even say the same thing about Jordan Love, who got 55 million.
Mhm.
All of these different aspects, like, reset the position and let someone else pay him. I mean, that's an option too for those. But at the end of the day, I feel like the Texans are going to pay him. We just don't know when.
Mhm.
All the teams that are eager to point fingers at the Texans have to pay their QB next year, 6 or 7 big QB extensions next offseason. I agree. And then I said on the space as well, and I'll let you go, Clayton, is that
Sure.
there is a difference in extensions. A Baker Mayfield extension is more on line of what we should bar or put on par with what CJ may get, rather than what Lamar Jackson will get is two totally different extensions.
Mhm.
um Lamar Jackson will get his extension. He's going to get $70 million.
That's crazy.
He's going to
Now,
get
I
$70 million.
I'm can I interject just real quick
No,
on
that's
just
all I want to say, so I can lead it to you. Let you go.
on just Lamar part? I know that's this isn't CJ Stroud, but just that by itself, anybody who, and this is just me, this is not reflective of HM right now. This is me. Anybody who's skittish about paying CJ Stroud, if you're if you feel like it's okay to pay Lamar Jackson $70 million, and I'm not saying like just strictly you point AD, but just like in general, let's put that out in the ether. If you're willing to pay Lamar Jackson 70 mil, who doesn't have the playoff resume that CJ Stroud has, that for the most part, compared to CJ, can't stay healthy, if you want to use that terminology, is not the passer that CJ Stroud is. Yes, he's won a couple MVPs, but again, that's because of the kind of like revolutionizing of the position that he's done, and not because throw for throw, he's the better pure pocket passer or quarterback option than CJ Stroud. I'm sorry, I think paying Lamar Jackson 70 mil is way worse of a proposition than paying CJ Stroud, what, 50 or 60? So just putting that out there from like a cost effectiveness standpoint. But look, to the CJ Stroud point, to his resume, right? I don't want to give this man excuses, right? First and foremost, the pound of flesh would be the fact that I think if we have to summarize the main issues people have is leadership, of course, demeanor, right? Like just internalizing things and not being kind of like the guy that you want galvanizing the troops, especially when he knows that he's the one who has to wear the L's that he creates with turnovers and stuff like that, pocket awareness, like that kind of stuff. There's no argument against. Like I 100% agree. Those are things that stand out for CJ Stroud. But if you're just talking about performance versus circumstance, which is what contextually we should do, right? I just want to talk about before the two worst games of this man's whole life, right? 2024, right? Where a lot of this stuff started to happen. Like I put a post up on X, I want to say on May the 1st. I said 2024 CJ Stroud stats. I don't know if you saw this. I said he played all 17 games. He completed 336 out of 532 passes for 63% completion, 3,700 passing yards, 20 TDs, 12 INTs, right? Still 18 below Jameis Winston's infamous 30 for 30 season. 52 sacks, an 87 passer rating. And I said, keep in mind, he threw for only 381 less yards and 3 less TDs than his rookie of the year season in 2024. With Diggs tearing his ACL, Nico missing 5 games, Mixon missing 3 games, Dell with the destroyed
Tank almost
Tank
died on the
Dell.
field.
Right, Tank Dell having his knee basically amputated off of his body and still maintaining the catch.
Mhm.
Tied for the third most sacks allowed by an offensive line in the NFL of 54 total. And he had an offensive coordinator who could not get you points in the second half of games for like a month straight. Like my thing is, everybody wants to ignore the context of the situation because he plays quarterback, because you're trying to pay him quarterback money. CJ Stroud has, number one, showed himself to be a top 10 option, at least in terms of just raw skill. We've seen that. Since then, we opened the show talking about how much money has been dumped into the defense, right? Like everybody paid or will get paid. The
Mhm.
offense is poverty compared to the dollar amount of investment that the defense have gotten. Like the defense has all the all pros, all the pro, all the true Pro Bowlers, right? No
Mhm.
disrespect to Nico Collins, but they got all the all pros, the Pro Bowlers. They got fringe Hall of Famers, and on the offense, this is the first time that you can say since 2023 that they have truly and organically, fervently invested in the offense to a degree that kind of matches what they're doing on the defense. Like they have completely overhauled a lot of stuff to where this is a rare occasion where all Texans fans seem to be generally happy with what they've done, right?
Mhm.
This is the first time that you can actually say, CJ, now it's all on you. Before then, if you're an objective Texans fan, you have to give the man the fact that in 2024, which is arguably his worst complete season, you're talking about, right? He only threw for 380 less yards than his rookie of the year season that was so historic with everything that I mentioned. Does he not get credit for having to perform and almost matching himself with an OC who got fired, none of his skill position players, at a horrendously bad O line, and he still got you to a divisional round playoff game and a 1 point deficit in the fourth quarter against the eventual AFC representing Kansas City Chiefs? Right? Like, are we gonna? So anyway, I'm just saying, like, I get it. It's the popular thing to do. Let's just dump on CJ Stroud. He is besides Will Levis, he is the face of, you know, he is the face of poor quarterback play for some freaking reason because it's his turn. That's what happens in the media. It's your turn, just like it was LeBron's turn, just like it was Mahomes' turn for a little bit, just like it's Josh Allen's turn. It's his turn, and he has to respond, right? Like, but he still has the resume to say, I'm better than Cam Ward. I'm better than, heck, I still say better than Trevor Lawrence. I don't care. Argue with the wall. Uh, I'm better than Daniel Jones. He can make that case, right? Like it's not about the money paying him. It's about he just has to go out and respond to the adjustments that the league has adjusted with him with. That is the ultimate compliment that the NFL and its defensive coordinator said, you're not going to beat me. That's a compliment. It doesn't mean that you suck, doesn't mean you're a bum. When entire defenses are structured to stop what your strengths are, that means you're on their radar, right? And no, he hasn't been the best from like a leadership standpoint, and he knows that. TJ Husmanzada said that. Like
Mhm.
CJ knows the commentary, he knows the narratives, but he's also been in the gym. He's been working out. Like he has stayed out of the spotlight, and I'm confident to at least give him an opportunity. And I guess I'll shut up after this. We know in the NFL, throwing 50 times a game does not win you a Super Bowl. It never has, and it never will. You got to have some type of balance. Like, and I firmly believe this. You kind of said it. I'll call my shot now. If the Texans can A, protect the football, B, run the football. Let me see. Well, that was that my two. I think it was my two. If they can protect the football and run the football effectively, I believe they're going to be in the conference championship game. I believe that. Like I firmly believe I'm about 85% confident if they can protect the ball and run the ball.
Mhm.
Like I would even say they're going to the Super Bowl this season. Like I'm willing to call it and put that on record. So that's how confident I am. CJ is not like what annoys me is that people act like CJ Stroud is Nathan Peterman. And like this man has never been good. He's never done anything. Like he just been a complete
Right.
bum. And that's just disingenuous and just not true. It's
Well, I
just
mean,
not.
well, the thing about it is that people are just hurt. People are hurt because of the way things ended, and so people want to carry their hurt. And I said on the space earlier, it's bringing up circa 2022. If anybody knows what happened in 2022 or 2021, should I say, with the famous and infamous Deshaun Watson, people were hurt, and so people can't ever let that hurt go because they feel like they were robbed or something, robbed or something. I mean, In all honesty, we can say that the Texans were robbed of a chance for a Super Bowl because of CJ's play. Um,
Mhm.
and
You be
so,
right. You be
yeah,
right.
yeah,
You be
and
right.
people are going to hold on to that, but you have to move past it because CJ Stroud is never going to get the fair shake he's ever going to get. Because my thing is, you have so much vitriol and you have so much negativity towards CJ right now, but how quickly the tables will turn when CJ gets you to that first AFC Championship game, when CJ Stroud gets you to a Super Bowl, and you almost look like a hypocrite, and you
Mhm.
almost look like a jackass that you just talk so much crap about CJ Stroud when you know this will be resolved. Like at the end of the day, we go into it. CJ Stroud in the playoffs, right? Has he
Mhm.
ever had a fully healthy receiving core?
Nope, never. Not a
Hey,
single
you
time.
know, so and then you go in last year, you don't have a fully healthy single receiving core, and you don't have your best running back in Joe Mixon
And
in
the
last
crazy part is, I'm sorry. The crazy part is, you were a couple $1 million away from having Saquon Barkley if money alone was what prevented that from happening. I
year.
don't think it was just money. I think a lot of players, they just like playing in their division to kind of get back to their team. But I can't speak for Saquon. But the fact that you didn't get Saquon and you didn't have your running back, like that stuff matters.
Hmm. Absolutely, Ben. Once you
Man,
subscribe,
give us a 2,000 yard rusher.
hey
I
Ben,
know.
I'll answer that. Hold on. Ben, we was talking on Spaces. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. When you subscribe, I'll answer that question.
Man,
um,
listen, I think they're gonna run. Look, CJ not gonna throw the ball more than 20 to 25 times a game. You can book that.
it was crazy.
About 20 to 25 times a game is max. I'm
Well,
telling you.
so the thing about it is that we had this conversation. The reason why he brought it up and it rolled into what you were saying is that we had this conversation on the Spaces today, and the stats prove it. So, do the team that ran the ball the most, right?
Shoot, I'll give you like a top five, but
Yeah,
was
I
like the
mean it's pretty
Bills.
simple. Yeah, Bills was number one. Bills were number
Yeah,
one.
Bills,
Um,
Eagles, Lions,
it was Bills, Giants, and Ravens. I think were the top three.
of course.
Um, and it makes sense, right? Because all three have running
Mhm,
quarterbacks. All
mhm,
three have are heavy hand the ball off, turnaround hand the ball off teams.
mhm.
Um, so I will say this that you know how many carries or how many rushing attempts that the top teams had or the top team had this year?
If I had to guess, like 400 to 500, I think.
They had 500 attempts, but per game on average per game.
Mhm. About 30, 35.
It was 32.
Mhm.
32 was the most. Then it gradually went down and from there. You know how many carries the Texans or attempts the Texans had rushing a game?
I'm gonna say about 18.
27 attempts a game.
27? Oh wow.
Yes. So the Texans were only 5 rushing attempts short of the league lead as far as rushing attempts. So again, it goes back to the point of the Houston Texans as far as a balanced offense. They're not going to run the ball more than, however so often to balance out with the passing attack, right? So because of that, I mean, I don't. Again, it's going to be games, and we don't necessarily know that the Texans are going to have 60 plays a game. It's going to be games where they have less than 60. It's going to be games where they have close to 70 plays in a game. So it varies and it's very nuanced in a sense. But I guess he wants to know what do since you said you don't see the Texans, throwing the ball more than 20, 25 times a game, how many rushing attempts do you see the Texans, running the ball?
Well, that would completely depend on, are they going like a duos type of thing? Are they going triples? Are they going Demo and Woody? Are we
Mhm.
talking Jawar in there too, or Whittington?
Yeah, we
Heck,
definitely
all
talk
four.
about that.
You know, it depending on how run committed they want to be, including the occasional CJ Stroud run, including how creative you want to be in running, sweeps with your receivers. There are so many creative ways to run the football. I think you could squeeze out about 30 to 40 rushing attempts per game, not just limited to your running backs. depending on how creative you want to get with the run game. So I think at least 30 per game.
Mhm,
Yeah, I think at least 30 if you're including your receiving core too, which you
mhm,
should. Which is why I'm kind of disappointed, not gonna lie, in the fact that you did not invest in another running back. Like, I'm not. We're gonna get into Whittington later, but like, I'm not against Whittington for like what he could be theoretically, but
mhm,
that's why we talked about the Jadarian prices. That's why we talked about Mike Washington, who I was hurt when
mhm,
his name came up and they passed on him. Like I was
mhm,
devastated because they were right there. Not even a Claiborne, right? Like
mhm.
I'm disappointed. I'm nitpicking because they did so many other great things, but I'm disappointed that if we're really going to be the smash mouth, running football team, which every move you have made tells me that you want to be that, then why settle for just Montgomery, just
Right.
Woody, and not
Well,
like,
you
you
got to
know,
think about certain things. Like, okay, Tyler, where did Tyler Algier go?
the no, not the Falcons. He left there.
Mhm.
Oh, the Cardinals? Yeah, Cardinals.
He went to the Cardinals. What did the
Yeah,
Cardinals
that's
do?
right. Yeah, they drafted Jeremiah Love.
So there's
That's
there's
crazy.
there's a possibility that Tyler Algier is released or cut in all season, right?
Which is crazy. This man left the
So
Falcons to escape that fate.
right, he did that.
Did it
So
again. Oh, goodness.
there's going to be opportunities. There are going to be backs that are going to be available during training camp, after training camp. So it's not the end all be all when it comes to that. And there may be trades of running backs, that rookies came in and took their spots, and they're going to be made available for trades. And going
True.
to Ben, you said the 30 carries and everything like that, but Ben is being a little disingenuous. Like when you say the and I brought up the three teams. When you say that the Bills run the ball 30 times, and you say that the doggone Giants run the ball 30 times, and you say that the Ravens run the ball 30 times, and I've said it before, all three teams have running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a difference in the Bills, Ravens, Giants, and teams of that nature running the ball 30 times than the Houston Texans turning around and handing the ball off 30 times a game, right? There's a distinct difference in that. And I think that's what Ben and others need to kind of look at logically. Um,
Okay.
I
Well,
mean,
wait, hold on.
the
Hold on.
Seahawks as well, but yes, they
There
didn't
you
they
go.
didn't run it a game. They didn't run it a game, but they probably ran it in
Okay.
that game. But again, that game is not depicted on how everything is going to go in a perfect that was a perfect scenario
Mm-hmm.
for the Seahawks. You're talking about in a perfect world, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to be able to run the ball 30 times. You're never going to be down in the game. Like they never were down. They led from end to end, from beginning to end in
Mm-hmm.
that game. They had a double-digit lead majority of that game. So they didn't have to throw the football, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
not the perfect scenario in every single situation. Did they run the ball 30 times when they were going bar for bar with the Rams? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes,
Right.
they want to run the ball, but were they running the ball 30 times when they have to go in these high scoring back to back, fight for
Mm-hmm.
your life games? No, they're not. And that's not like you can have that outlook and you can have that aspiration, but that's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily reality. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can, you're gonna and again, you're gonna have games where you have those highs where you may run the ball 35 times because you're blowing the team out. And you may run it 35 times or whatever, but then there are going to be games where you run it 20 as a team. There are going to be games, so it's nuance. So, like again, like you want to say Seattle, that's fine. Seattle also had, two really, really good backs. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And Woody Marks is a good back, and Montgomery's a good back. We'll see how that works. Every game, like Rafa said, every game is different.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do an average and make that the expectation every game. Because
True.
what Ben is saying, we're going to run the ball 30 times. So my thing is, what happens if we don't run the ball 30 times, but we still win?
Mm-hmm.
Do we
Yeah.
is that the standard, or that's just something you want to happen? Because you can win games without running the ball 30 times. Multiple teams do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, 30 carries, okay, that's fine. You have an advantage. But again, we talked about it again. What if you have 30 carries, but you're only averaging 2.6 yards a carry?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like you're not doing anything, and then well, if you're running the ball 30 times, that means you're winning time of possession. Not necessarily. It could be a
Mm-hmm.
defensive battle where the game, the Texans have the number one defense in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be 0-0 for most of the game. And you're just trying to basically play field position.
Mm-hmm.
And you're running the ball and you're trying to control the clock and you're trying to do things like that. You're not winning time of possession. But at the end of the day, you're not scoring points either.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff, like we can go on and on and on, but in
Yeah.
reality, like it's very nuanced, and to want to stick hard on that and make that the barometer when
Mm-hmm.
things can change drastically. Because okay, you want to run about 30 times a game, and let's say they go get an additional back, right?
Mm-hmm.
God forbid, knock on wood, knock on plastic, knock on metal, knock on
Mm-hmm.
any other kind of table or whatever, glass,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And if Montgomery gets hurt, are you still expecting to run the ball 30 times? If
Right.
Montgomery and Woody gets hurt, are you still expecting to run the ball 30 times? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are you still like, is that still the expectation, or does things change? Let's say the offensive line. We've done a lot of work with this offensive line. Let's say Wyatt Teller, and God forbid Wyatt Teller or doesn't live up to the expectations, and we got two rookies in there, and Rutledge struggles, and the
Mm-hmm.
offensive line looks similar to what it looked like last year and year before. Are you still trying to run the ball 30 times when you can't run the ball? Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to be nuanced enough to know that you can't be redundant and just say we're gonna do this regardless. Like, like let's just be honest. Like injuries happen. We haven't been
Yeah.
fully healthy. When was the last time the Houston Texans were fully healthy from beginning of the season to the end?
That's the crazy part. That's
What
really
what team, what team has been fully
well.
healthy from beginning to end?
That's crazy. Let
So
me.
it's just a conversation piece and everything like that. But like just to say, even with the 20 to 25, passes a game or passing attempts a game, that's
Yeah.
nuanced because guess what? There will be a game where CJ Stroud throws the ball 40 plus times.
Probably
There,
so.
there, there is going to be a game. There's going to be a game where he throws it 30 times.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a game where he only throws it 18. But and again, I set that barometer. If it's 25 passes, but you throw it 30 or 40 and you win the game, do you think
Mm-hmm.
you made a mistake? If you throw it 18 and you win the game, do you think that you made a mistake?
Right.
Like that's my point, is that if you set the barometer, we got to run the ball 30 times. We need to run the ball 30 times.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but if you don't meet that barometer or you don't meet that mark and you still win,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of debunks the whole barometer part.
Right. Yeah, I
So
think that's D'Amico Ryan's whole thing. Not to interrupt you, but that's D'Amico Ryan's whole thing is like, I just want to win. Like that's kind of been his stated goal. He don't care how you get the yard, get a yard. Like
yeah.
he don't care how it looks, get a win. It could be ugly. It could be 2-0. It could be 5-3. It
Mm-hmm.
could be 37-34. It's gonna be, they've done it. You talking about trends? They have done that for 3 years straight.
Mm-hmm.
Where when they win, it rarely ever, if it's Texans football, it's rarely gonna be some kind of 30-point blowout and you just doing stuff from the back of the playbook like you the Lions. Like, nah. It's normally some type of 4-minute drill to win the game, some type of, drain the clock situation, something like that, gritted out. And as much as we want the style points, as much as we want the preferences, it's football, man. Like a win's a win. And Liam Cohen kind of said it. You don't apologize for winning the NFL. You don't
Mm-hmm.
you don't apologize for winning a game. Like you can do a lot of internal reflection, look at the tape, see what can be better, all the good stuff. But at the end of the day, man, it's about just, getting by,
Mm-hmm.
getting by enough times to get to the Super Bowl and, quite possibly win one. I'm pretty sure the 2024 Chiefs weren't apologizing for winning every game by 2 points and some pixie dust. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure the Eagles not going to apologize for running their way to a Super Bowl. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure Josh Allen's not going to apologize for putting up 6 touchdowns individually running and passing. So, and what I will say though is if you're the Texans right now, man, it's look in this game plan amoeba, Earnhardt Porkins, Rams hybrid offense that you have, we're banking on not only the moves, right? Not only, like you said, the arbitrary numbers, but we're banking on you guys have another season under your belt of being in the NFL, watching NFL defenses, and being in your system, which last year you didn't even look the worst in the system. It's just that you can tell you were working out some kinks, you had some talent deficiencies. There was some low IQ moments that I expect a lot of those things to be ironed out with just more time in the playbook. I expect that. And again, though, you're playing a safer brand of football at the same time where you have a running game that I think the whole thing is they are more equipped to play their preferred style if they needed to or if they could. But if they weren't able to, they have more than enough weaponry to play those other games where if you need a shootout, we got multiple 6'6" receivers. We got got all these guys. If you want to make a defensive struggle, we got that too. We got a little bit of everything, and we have 2s and 3s at each position of depth so that we can better absorb these injuries, right? But even with all these things being said, there's no perfect plan in the NFL. Like we've seen weirder things happen, So it's just put the preferences aside, man. It's football. I know we want to do, but it's about what you got to do. So,
I mean, what Herman Edwards, you play to win the game.
You play to win the game.
You play to win the game. That's it. Nothing else, man. So, we've hit that topic and we'll talk about it, throughout the rest of the season. And we'll rest of the offseason especially. But I want to touch on this one last topic. And that's, position battles, man. Way too early position battles. We got some polarizing topics, and most of these are on offense. We're not going to sit up here and talk about who's going to be the third corner, or we're not going to talk about who's going to be the fourth or fifth safety. We're not doing bottom of the roster guys. Who's going to be our primary kick returner? Is there going to be a kick returner battle? We're not doing any of that, but if anything, as we know, the position battle will be offense. So we can touch all of that. We can touch wide receiver. We can touch running back. We can touch tight end, offensive line. But I want to hear your battles that you really want to kind of get ready for and geeked up for when it comes to the off season and training camp coming up in a month and a half.
Yeah. So for me, man, look, I'm hyped, bro. I'm hyped than probably I've ever been before in my life. And probably is because of how sorry the Rockets and Astros have been. So, but yeah, man, it's hard out here, bro. But nah, man. So I'm hyped, man. I am. It's a lot of juice here. I will say number one, give me Lewis Bond versus the field for on the skull wide receiver 4, right? I think your first 3 are locked up. You got Nico, you got Tank, you got Higgins, right? I think that's your 3. Mind you, for those who are new, I was the biggest, pound the table Jalen Noel guy. Like, hey, I was the biggest.
How the tables have turned, huh?
Right, how the turns are tabled. And now it's like I got to take a step back and say, man, I just don't know. Because I'm that big on Bond where I get it. He's a 6th round pick, but I really feel like that's an on paper kind of 6th round pick. Like he comes from the Bill O'Brien system, which is basically a version of what Katie wants to run, the EMP system, right? So he has the background. He's touted for being a high IQ guy. He's a chain mover. He set records at Boston College. He has the most receptions in a season in school history. He left with the most receptions in school history, period. I think he's at least top 15 in receiving yards at the school. So he's doing all these records. He's a smart guy. I think that ideally he's going to be what John Mechie was supposed to be for them, right? So all that being said, with Xavier Hutchinson being on his way out, I'm assuming this is last year of his contract. And then Jalen Noel, I don't know what they want to do with him. I think Bond has a very strong chance of, if not being wide receiver 4, I think pushing X or being like again a solid rotation guy who could be on the field. Um, if nothing else, I just think he's going to be on the field. I just want to see could he make that push for wide receiver 4 after the aforementioned 3. So that's my first one. Lewis Bond versus the field, namely maybe Jalen Noel for wide receiver 4. So did you want me to keep going? Want me to bounce it back to you?
Well, I'll come back on this one. So
Yeah.
I like Lewis Bond. I really do. And Barrett said he has all the tools. I just don't want to put, the what they call it, the carriage before the horse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get so overly hyped about the guy and then he doesn't, you know, and it could be politics because a lot of this stuff is NFL politics. He can more
Mm-hmm.
than likely be better than Jalen Noel, than Xavier Hutchinson, especially, as far as with
Is
the
a
playbook and everything like that.
route
Do
runner.
everything, route runner, do everything you need to do, can be clear and far and beyond better than these guys. And yes, yet and still, NFL politics come into play. And
Mm-hmm.
he gets pushed down. And so you have that thirst and all of that. And then I don't want us, well, not us, but I myself, I don't want to get into the British Brooks territory of it all. Where
Mm-hmm.
we're sitting up here and you got people that, well, you seen them do it that one game, and you seen them do it in preseason, and you see them, we just need to give them a chance. And I don't want to be that guy. You know, I mean, nobody's saying he hasn't, but everything runs its course. And Xavier Hutchinson more than likely will have opportunities outside of the Houston Texans,
Mm-hmm.
wherever it may be. But his last year of his contract is this year, and there's no signs of the Houston Texans offering him an extension.
He might be a trade asset. Not gonna lie to you.
Exactly. So
You might
that,
trade him mid-season.
there could be teams that need help, and he could be gone, and it's okay. That's why you drafted the Lewis Bonds of them all,
Mm-hmm.
to go ahead and make that smooth transition. So all of that, I like Lewis Bond. I like everything he brings to the table. I think he's going
Mm-hmm.
to be a very, very great safety blanket for this team when it comes to, oh, Tank got injured again. Oh, God
Mm-hmm.
forbid Tank got injured again. Oh, Jalen Noel is still not figuring out how to run routes or run or understand the concepts of this offense. Okay, Lewis Bond goes out there and makes a play or two. Now you get excited. You know what I'm saying? Now
Mm-hmm.
you feel like, okay, when I just talked about the injuries in the playoffs, stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
happens, you're not bare. The cabin,
Yeah.
the cupboard isn't bare when you have a Lewis Bond as your wide receiver 4, 5, 6, or whatever it may be. Your
Yeah.
cupboard is not bare. He can you feel confident enough where he can go out the team and you can still have a chance to win games throwing the football. So
Mm-hmm.
I like Lewis Bond. I'm not negating that. I just don't. I want to just, you know, for myself, I'm gonna slow down on the hype. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna dive right into it and just go balls to the wall with it. But just play it with caution.
No, I like how you said it. NFL politics. I hate to say it, but there's so much realness to it, man. It's familiarity. Do you know the guy? Like, and I hate to say it, but there are some times in sports where maybe there's some over sentimentality. I'm not saying that like we heard some sources or whatever, but you want to give the guy a chance, or it's his last year, so kind of. Nah. In my mind, I'm much more like, man, listen, I want the best 11 on the field. Offense, defense, I don't care who's who. Like Casario said, put the ball out there, let them settle it. And if Bond is the guy who's fourth best off the bench at receiver, then he's fourth best. I'm not gonna,
Hmm.
but that's just me saying that. That's just us saying that, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, sure. Giving X his props, man. Like he had a breakout season. He finally had his, got his first 3 touchdowns of his career. I want to sound like a hater, but it took him 4 years. Right? It took him,
Hmm.
took him a long time to do it. So, and that's not all his fault, but still, like he had a breakout year, which is good for him. Heck, he reminds me of maybe what Terrence Williams used to be for the Cowboys, right? That kind of ancillary piece, something
Hmm.
like that, where it's like, okay, cool. He could be a nice little, I'm not taking a little out. I'm sorry, because
No,
in our
you're
culture. No, in our culture, we say little something. And it's like, but he
good.
had a nice breakout season. Um, like, and I'm happy for him. And unfortunately, given the circumstance, he looks like he could be a trade piece. So, yeah, with that being said, like if Bond shows any sign of really being like a legitimate contributor day one, I think that pushes Xavier to where he might be a trade piece. And I wouldn't be shocked if they might already be planning to prep him for that conversation. So, you
Mhm.
know, so yeah, man, that's my thing. But you wanna go to Camp Battle 2?
Yeah, go
That's
ahead. Go
more.
ahead.
All right, so Camp Battle 2, and there's gonna be a theme here. There are no battles on defense. I'm sorry. Like you won't hear me saying like Aiden Fisher and no, no. The defense, the defense is locked up across the board. That's it. You might get into the minutia of Jalen Reed versus you know, friggin' Kamari Ramsey, like, but that's like, whatever. Offensively, I really need to see what the Marlon Klein hype is about. Uh,
Mhm.
I need to see what do they want from him year one. You talk about not being hype on Bond. You ain't got to worry about that with Klein. I'm asking the question: is he going to push Stover out of a job potentially, Foster Moreau, or could he long shot push Brevin? Because I think this move keeps Dalton Schultz safe. I think he's fine. Even extended him, but I think with Klein, like the battle's going to be where does he fall on the scale? Because again, the caveat is you got him with the 59th overall pick.
Mhm.
That's the other thing. If he was like a fifth, sixth rounder like Bond, if they switch places, yeah, I can see that. But he was picked 59th when you could have possibly traded up to get Eli Stowers or took anybody else, Oscar Dub, Max Clare,
So
that you know,
we had this conversation, and I told you, like I said, you take the run on tight ends and what people value and how we value tight ends and what we thought. Like again, we're not NFL scouts. We're not in these rooms. We don't know what the hell they thought or found something wrong with Max Clear. We don't know what they thought was wrong with Stowers,
mhm,
why they didn't value him enough to trade up to go get him. We don't know, why they didn't take a chance on, any of these on doggone Delp, Oscar Delp, and that like we don't know the behind the scenes of these situations. So we can always say, well, we had these guys rated higher, but then
mhm,
we go out and let's go and put them on the field, and these guys look like doo doo. Now you sitting here and saying, well, okay, now I see why we didn't go and get this guy, because now Klein has all the all the tools to do whatever you want him to
mhm,
do. And if he goes out there and he's an excellent blocker, and he rarely loses on blocks, and he goes out there and he makes these catches, and he's a north and south runner. Like I don't need a tight end to be elusive and to fake people out and to
mhm,
make all these crazy moves down the field, especially when I got guys like Nico Collins and I have hopefully a healthy Tank Dell, and I brought in, like you said, a Lewis Bond, and I
mhm,
got these guys in the room. I don't and Jaden Higgins, I'm sorry as well. I don't necessarily need a tight end to do that. What I need a tight end to do is to go
mhm,
north and south and make themselves available in the red zone and score touchdowns and be a reliable blocker. If my tight end can do that, then I feel like pick 59 is well worth it. You know what I mean?
mhm. Yeah, I mean, look, man, I'm trying to keep myself contained again because the Rockets suck, Astros suck, so I'm looking for positives. But
Rockets
I'm
don't
looking,
suck, dog. They made the
like,
playoffs. They lost.
man,
Let's say
trash,
they
trash.
disappointed you.
Man, nah, bro, they ain't disappointment, bro. Look, well, listen, this ain't Rockets A-Sun run down right now. We'll say that for later. But nah, man. Look, I'm trying to temper my expectations of Klein because, like you said, man, I'm looking at the physical tools.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the fact this man is 6'6". This man got a 36-inch vertical. This man has what, a 4.6 40, I think,
Mhm.
like, which his measurables put him as like arguably the best physical measurables of the group right now. That includes Brevin, that includes Dalton, that includes all these guys. I looked it up. So for me, he has all these raw skills. That's like, man, if he could just get molded, like he could be a decent red zone guy, inline blocker. That like he could be these decent things. And like you said, sometimes, man, it gets hard because you look at all the other teams, the Brock Bowers and the Trey McBrides, and you want just that impact tight end, the Travis Kelce in his prime, George Kittle. You want a guy like that who's the cheat code of the offense, but you really don't need that. You don't, because the Eagles, like they had.
Good. Oh, I was gonna say you brought up those names when Kansas City drafted Travis Kelce and when Kittle was drafted. Did anybody think those guys would be Travis Kelce and George Kittle?
Nope. Nope.
You know,
Not at
so I
all.
mean,
Kittle was a
you
fifth
just
rounder.
yeah, you just got to let it play out, and I think Kelce was what, a third or fourth. So you
Could
just
have
gotta,
been.
yeah, you just gotta let it play out and go from there. I don't want to put too much on these guys. So, like you said, temper expectations. Klein was drafted with the 59th pick overall. There are guys that probably, I mean, we've had players drafted number 15
Mm-hmm.
that have sucked. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so like I understand like people feel like the position value and everything like that, but like I talked last episode with Jules, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you don't draft your tight end there, you probably don't draft a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're sitting here, and then instead of you saying, oh, I wanted, because let's say that instead of them drafting the tight end there, they draft Ramsey there, and they don't draft a tight end, and they don't draft a running back. So if they don't draft a tight end, they don't draft a running back, and they go defense linebacker or whatever, and let's say instead of what's his name from Indiana, Aiden
Oh,
Fisher,
mm-hmm.
instead of Aiden Fisher, they draft a punter. So now you go and you don't draft a running back, you don't draft a tight end. Now you're sitting here and saying, well, let's just hope, these undrafted guys, like we're gonna talk about in a minute, you're gonna be playing on hope instead of like we got a guy that has the tools to work with. So
Mm-hmm.
again, you're talking about your old offense coordinator as a tight ends coach. Dalton
Mm-hmm.
Schultz had his best year as a Texan last year with the
Yep.
OC being a tight ends coach. So why
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you have the same aspiration, for that. He's saying Casario don't have a good history drafting tight ends. I mean, you can say that Casario doesn't
Well,
have a
hold
good.
on. Wait a minute. History
I mean, he's only drafted two tight
drafted.
ends
Like I was only
or
drafted two. That's
three,
Stover,
three.
Lachey,
Brevin Jordan was
Brevin. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Brevin
Brevin Jordan, Stover, and
and
what's the
Lachey. I
guy?
want to say.
Yeah, Lachey. Those are the only
Yeah.
three he's drafted.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, oh,
I mean,
okay.
but again, people will say you can say that about anything. You can say he doesn't do well. He's not a great drafter of running backs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Woody Marks is what one, and some people don't believe in Woody Marks because then his history is Damian Pierce and Woody Marks and
Yeah,
Jawar
that's fair.
Jordan. So you can say he doesn't draft great running backs. Like you can go down the list. Hell, you can really say wide receiver outside of Nico. Tank Dell,
Mm-hmm.
great is as a player, but can't stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like you can go position by position and say, "Oh, Nick Casario this, Nick Casario that." Like everything has to be considered. That's cool, but then let's consider everything. What is he great at? What is he great at drafting?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because we can say that for another episode. But
Right.
again, that's my thoughts on Klein. I like the pick. I like what he can bring to the table. I think he has all the tools to
Mm-hmm.
be a very,
Mm-hmm.
very effective tight end. I'm not one of those heads that wants a like I just need an effective tight end. I
Sure.
need a tight end that can catch and block. If a tight end can catch and block and get north and south, then I mean, okay,
Yeah.
let's go down drafting your defense. Will Anderson, number 3 pick overall. Okay, let's go Jalen Petrie, high second round pick. Derek Stingley,
Mm-hmm.
number 3 pick overall.
Yep.
Like, okay, you think Casario is great at drafting the defense, or did these guys get before? Let's go before Casario got here. who are the players on the team on defense that you can say that he didn't draft? You know, I mean, before D'Amico, I'm sorry, before D'Amico got here, Jalen
Mm-hmm.
Petrie and Derek Stingley, almost layups, right? Petrie is the
Mm-hmm.
exception, right? So you're bringing up all these players, and I understand Kamari and all that, but guess who was the head coach when all those guys were drafted? You could
No,
probably say
Kamari.
one of probably the best Kamari. Our corner, Kamari.
I know. I know. I'm sorry.
So I'm
I
saying,
maybe I
he's saying all these players, but I'm like, okay, you want to go to Kalen Bullock
yeah.
and Lord, why is Kamari's last name
Lassiter.
Lassiter? Kamari Lassiter, Kalen Bullock, Will
Mm-hmm.
Anderson. You can go and go all of these things as far as defense. You can say that,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a guy right there in the building. And I will go back again. You want to go to New England? Who was the head coach in New England?
Mm-hmm.
And
Arguably the
who
GOAT
was the draft? Arguably one of the best head coaches ever.
ever.
And he's a defensive mastermind.
Yep.
And you giving again. We're going down the rabbit hole with Nick Casario because I don't even want to
Sure.
talk about it like that. But go ahead to the next
Yeah, I got you.
next battle, and we can call it after this one.
All right, cool. So, like I said, we're not touching defense because it's not really a battle unless you're talking about depth versus depth. The final one on offense, man, and we slightly disagreed. Not slightly, we disagreed off stream. I'm looking at RB3. I'm sorry. I guess I feel like Noah Whittington is my new Jalen Noel guy, right? Like I look at Whittington, he outweighs Jawar Jordan by 20 pounds, just about. Better 40 time by 0.15.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Look that up too. And I just think that somebody asked me this very very good question. They said, "What right now does Whittington do better than Jawar?" And it's not an apples to apples because again, Jawar has played in the NFL and Whittington is not, right? So that's what I said. I said, well, professionally, nothing. But if you're talking about just the physical traits and tangibles, all the different kind of stuff like that, I just look at Whittington and maybe his fit, on the roster, the scheme, what he brings, and I just think it'll make for an interesting battle for RB3, him versus Jawar Jordan specifically.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, but that just you putting a lot of hype on the guy, and then you overpromise and he underdelivers, and then you sitting here looking like, So
Amen.
I don't want to harp on it because I don't think this running back room is finished. So I'm not going to sit up here and start, I mean, that's what we do. It's the offseason because you have to talk about what's here. But I do
Yep.
think there's going to be players added to this running back room that
Mhm.
will solidify themselves as running back 3. And hell, you can even bring back Nick Chubb. And if Nick Chubb is there, he's your running back 3. So you talk about he's your 3rd running back.
Well, the thing is, I want somebody who could be a home run hitter at RB3. I don't want to just give out spots. Like, no disrespect. No, man. No, bro. I feel like
but
RB3.
I just threw a name out. He's a free agent.
Sure.
But again, if we talked about it earlier, if Tyler Algier is available and he becomes available, you wouldn't want to bring Tyler Algier in as your running back 3?
No, I would. That would be
he's
my
not
answer.
a home run hitter though.
Well, no. So, but home run hitter in terms of can he be effective and proficient at the position? Like, no. I mean, well, yes. The reason why I said no is because Algier, he didn't ask this question, but he wouldn't want to come to the situation because he knows he would not be RB1. So
yeah, but he would be in a situation where he's winning. You're not winning in Arizona right now.
That's true too.
So
That's
you weren't winning in Atlanta.
You were not. No.
So
you were not.
I mean, I think that it all plays into a point where if I'm getting paid and I'm getting touches and I'm getting carries, but I'm winning. I mean, because again, when Atlanta was in the playoffs or were winning, with Algier, he was fine. It wasn't a problem. But when you start losing and your touches start decreasing, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
So you can't have both. If you winning and your touches are light, you cool with it because you're winning. But if you lose it
Yeah.
and your touches are light, that's where the problem. That's where the problems arise. But
Let them carries
I
hurt
mean,
him.
Whittington is a good prospect. It's a good thing. Everybody wants to find that gem, but I mean, he could be another British Brooks, where yeah, he may make the roster, but he's barely
Shoot.
getting,
Or
barely.
he might be what was his name? Years ago had dreads also. People
Mm-hmm.
almost fought Bill LeBron to play him. Um bro, you
Deontay
know him.
Foreman.
He tore his heel tendon.
Deontay
Um
Foreman.
there you go. Foreman, there you
Yeah,
go.
but Foreman was a
Yeah.
third round pick. So that's why they had hope for Foreman. Because Foreman, once again, it's a local bias. He was a UT player. Everybody had hope for
Mhm.
Foreman. They saw him play at UT and they wanted him to play real bad. The Texas fans are like that. The same reason why they want Ant Hill and they were gonna die on that hill, and they died on that hill because they didn't get Ant Hill.
Uh,
So all of these things, like they just desperately wanted Deontay Foreman, and he had one good game or a couple good
mhm.
games, and everybody was like, okay, he can recreate it, but he just didn't fit what the Texans wanted to do at the time. And I mean,
Sure.
he had a basic, pretty mediocre career
Right.
as
Yeah,
a
that's
football
that's true.
player. I mean, he wasn't spectacular. He never was like one of the top running backs in the league. He was just a
Right.
so running back that could perform
Yeah.
from here and there. And so, I
Yeah.
mean, it is what it is. So you have like again, people overpromised and he underperformed.
So to your point about that, then we'll shut it down. If they go the veteran route for RB3, then yeah, throw out. It's a moot point.
Mm-hmm.
Jawar, even Jawar. Like I like Jawar, but again, for the fit of the identity of this offense, Jawar is not going to be the first guy that comes to mind. If he was a little bit bigger, like fine, but right. Watch we gonna cook Anna Hill. Target him all game. But no. Like
I mean, SC
nah, he
Gentry
not
was
he not GT. He not
he's the
GT.
number 7 pick in the
I'm
draft.
sorry, he not GT. I'm
Come on
sorry.
now.
I get you,
Come
but
on,
no, he ain't GT.
Grandpa. Come on.
He ain't GT. No,
That's
I'm
like
not
that,
that
brother.
delusional. I ain't that delusional. But no, man. So if they go the veteran route, like at Algier, I feel like that'd be a perfect, like, okay, conversation done. RB3, we're settled. We got a 3-man like then you solidify a 3-man rotation and running back, which I believe you should do anyway. Like if you're really trying to give these guys rest and keep tread on the tires and keep CJ fresh and keep the all the stuff and like continuously keep pressure on opposing linebackers and safeties and whatnot. I think if you get Algier or somebody like that,
Mm-hmm.
establish that 3-man rotation. That's what you want to do. And if they get a vet running back, then yeah, RB3 is sold up. The only thing then is like special teams, like, okay, who do you want taking kicks? Then I'll see a Whittington, something like that. But we're not talking about that right now. So
No,
yeah.
but look, he has promised he will definitely have an opportunity in camp to show his worth and what he can do. And he may surprise people. He may make the roster like British Brooks made the roster and everything like that.
Mhm.
Um, but we just have to wait and see how it plays out. Again, I just want to temper these expectations for these guys because
Yeah.
everybody gets hyped and they want to love and they want to go crazy with these guys, and then they don't perform and all that stuff. I mean, rest in peace, Chris Roy. He was the biggest Jawar Jordan fan of them all. He was calling for Jawar. He was praying for Jawar and everything like that. And we got Jawar, and he had all these hopes and promises, and Jawar didn't even make the roster that year. When he got drafted, he got cut. And he was a practice squad guy ever since. So you got to look at it. These guys are talented. Yes, they made it to the
Mhm.
NFL, but there's levels to this. So let's just, be patient. It's good to have optimism
Mhm.
and hope. I just don't want us to get too far ahead of ourselves and put these guys on, I don't want to say pedestals, but put these guys on, platforms, or put them on some step stools. Um, and they don't, they still fall off and break like Humpty Dumpty or something.
Mhm.
Um, but all in all, man, like I said, it's the off season. It's the beginning of off season. We got a lot of things we gotta come, that we're gonna talk about that, as far as the roster construction, as far as like looking forward, the schedule drops in a few weeks. That's coming. So we got to talk about that and our way too early schedule prediction. The
Mhm.
Texans record. We need to go back and see how close we were to the prediction as far as the record from last year. Did we get close to how many wins and everything like that? Because the Texans won, was it 12 games last year? So how close were we, and how close can we get to those? When the schedule comes out in a few weeks. But y'all make sure.
And I got them 13, 14, not gonna lie to you. I think 13. Again, like I said, bro, protect the football, run the football. I think 13 easy. Like
Yeah.
easily, I would say that. Let me not say easy. I'm sorry, say NFL. But I think 13 wins, reclaim the AFC South throne. And I want to say this. Let me see. I want to call my shot on record, bro. I feel like the Texans are going to do something they've never done before. I think they're going to end up with the number 1 seed. I do. I'm willing to put that on record. You can put my name by it. Look, if it doesn't work out, you can run the replay back in the black and white with the, in the
with the saxophone playing.
Right. Like you can run all that back and make a fool. That's fine. But listen, I believe it so highly. Like they have the defense already, assuming health. They can run the football and, of course, not turn the ball over. I do believe that any better version of CJ Stroud, along with the marginal improvements on the offense, I believe this team is at least a 13-win team and can take home their first number 1 seed overall. You will host a divisional playoff game for the first time in Reliance Stadium history, Texans history. And in a 1-game situation, give me the best defensive football of the last 5 to 10 years. Give me an improved CJ Stroud to get us to our first conference championship in franchise history. And whoever's on the other side, I believe you will get to a Super Bowl. I believe that firmly. So calling my shot now.
Hey, no time like the present to call the Texans Super Bowl shot. Beirut it. But yeah, definitely. We have more content coming for y'all in the next couple of weeks, man. So y'all please tune in. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We're trying to get to that 1K. And go ahead and do what we gotta do. Y'all go ahead and do your thing. And we will see y'all when we see y'all. This your boy AD. Got my boy Clayton. And we see y'all next week, man. Peace.